Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Ruggiano Jr. I want to welcome everybody to Reform Gangsters. And if you like my show, please subscribe and ring the bell, and also become a Patreon member and get access to our shows, and be part of it and ask questions and get answers. And today we're going to have a special guest, Michael Franzese, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Yeah,
I know you're busy. I know you're busy, boy. You're my idol. Let me tell you, always running around. God bless you. Yeah, I don't know where you get the. I just was telling Pasquale. Pasquale's on the line too. I was just telling him how tired I am. I don't know where you get the energy.
Well, believe me, I'm tired too.
Yeah, I got that full-time job too. Between all this and then going to work, oh my God! Well, thank God on my full-time job, I finally got them to give me a set schedule. Now I work only 3 12-hour shifts now. It's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So then I have 4 days off. Thank God. Oh my God, it's crazy.
It's good. Well, you look good. You look like a youngster.
Yeah, thank. I'll be 70 in October.
Hey, you know what? I think if the life doesn't kill us, it preserves us.
Right. It's funny you said that because I was thinking about that this morning. Like I know you got me by a year, and we do look good for our age. Nobody at my job believes I'm going to be 70, especially they laugh as they said, especially the way you act. Nobody would ever think you're 70. My father told me when he turned 60, I'll never forget, he was away and he called me up and he said, and it was his 60th birthday. And I said, oh my God, Dad, you're 60. I said, how do you feel? He goes, in between my ears, I feel like I'm 25, he told me. Yeah.
I know it's the same way, but let me tell you, I got you by 2 years. You're 70?
Yeah, I'll be 70. Yeah. You got me by 2 years?
I just turned 72 in May.
God bless you. Yeah, I'll be 70.
Andy, I'll be honest with you. When I hit 60, all right, 60, not too bad. When you hit 70, that number kind of...
I know. Yeah. I know. My friend and I were talking about it the other night, at 70, the average lifespan is 78. You know what I mean? Like we're in the last leg of the journey. Like it's for real now, It's for real now. Yeah, it's for real. Listen, a day at a time. That's it. We're taking a day at a time. Turn it over, Whatever God's plan is, that's his plan, and we'll have to go along with it.
Exactly. But I don't know. I don't feel any different than I'm trying to think back. Maybe getting out of bed, you have a little extra pain. But after that, I feel the same I felt like 30 years ago. I don't feel
I was in the gym this morning, working out. I go and I look at all the kids running around down there. Oh my God. Yeah, but it's just a friend of mine told me a long time ago, Dad, I'm free. I spent my 25th birthday. I was in jail. I was in Elmira for my 25th birthday. I was in Schuylkill for my 50th birthday, and I finally made it out for my 60th birthday. Now I'm out for my 70th birthday, so I'm doing better than I was.
Yeah, well, that's how we measure our birthdays. Are we free or are we in jail?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was telling my son last night. Because my 25th birthday, I was locked up. I got in trouble. I got locked up. I was on a keep lock for my 25th birthday. I had gotten in trouble, and they gave me a disciplinary. They locked me up, 7-day keep lock, and I lost all my privilege for 20 days. Yeah, so I was in. And then my 50th birthday, I was in Schuylkill. At least they made me a birthday cake. The fellas, all the wise guys in Schuylkill, we had a big birthday party for my 50th. Yeah, lucky me.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah. So I want to talk, the mob stuff, we could talk that. We already discussed all that mob stuff. What I was thinking today, I really want to talk to you about how our fathers affected our families. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's a powerful message. You and I are in a unique position, I think, because we were raised that way. You were raised by Sonny. I was raised by Andy. And I think we're in a unique position compared to other guys on this genre. They weren't, they came into this life through a different road than you and I.
Yes.
And I think it affected our families a different way than it might have affected their families. Like there's a lot of addiction in my family, and I know there's a lot of addiction in your family. You know, I know addiction touched me. You escaped. That's a question I would love to hear. How did you, like, I know in the 70s we were running around in the same circles, you and I, clubs, you know, the discos. I even know you had club, you actually had clubs, you owned clubs or partners in clubs in Long Island, correct?
Yes, yes.
How did so when you were running around, like I know I got caught up in the coke scene with other people, you know, how did you avoid all that personally?
Yeah, you know, Anthony, I gotta give my dad the credit for that because he hated drugs, hated anything to do with drugs, to the point where when he hated something enough, he would talk to you about it all the time. All the kids, you know. So he would talk to me about it all the time. He would make up stories about drug addicts and what he saw, and he told me later on a lot of it wasn't true, but he made up stories because he wanted to scare me. So he would make up stories about drug addicts and how he's seen them in the street and all this kind of stuff. And he drummed it into my head. The same thing he would do, he hated motorcycles. So he would make up stories about motorcycles to scare me. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm the only one, I'm the only kid that listened to him.
I was just going to say that. I know your brother, and may she rest in peace, your sister didn't listen to him.
Yeah, they didn't listen to him. Well, you know, due respect, though, they didn't have him around as much as I did when I was younger, because he went to jail when they were young. You know, and I tried to teach them, but it's nothing like a father. You know, your father, especially my dad, was such a big presence, you know, in our family. So I just never wanted to get, and I think I'm fortunate, I'm blessed. I don't really have an addictive personality. You know, I'll tell you another story. He hated gambling, even though he had bookmakers working for him. He didn't want to gamble. So he used to preach against gambling. So one day I didn't listen to him. I went to the track with a bunch of my friends, and I had a Lincoln Continental, right? So I drive to the track out in where was it? In Garden City. I lost 7 out of 9 races, and I came out and somebody stole the hubcaps off my car. I said, "This is a sign. I'm never going to gamble again." That was it.
Yeah, you know, it's so, you know, when I listen to you, even when I listen to your shows, you know, I have so much identification with you. It's amazing. The same thing, you know, my father hated gambling, and he had big bookmakers with him. Like he had, I mean, I absolutely went to work for him and went to prison for bookmaking. It's ironic, but he hated gambling. And the same as you, I started betting when I was a teenager with a bookmaker, and he found out about it. So he sits me down in the kitchen and he tells me, "Let me ask you a question." He goes, "Who drives the Cadillacs and who drives the shit boxes?" He told me. He said, so I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Remember this. The bookmakers drive the Cadillacs and the gamblers drive the shit boxes. So you decide which one you want to be." Yeah. So, but as far as the drugs goes, you know, when I was going out in the clubs, you know, 19, you know, I just got caught up in it, you know, with the cocaine and the alcohol. You know, I just got caught up in that scene, and eventually, you know, I crossed over that imaginary line. But you know, it affected my family too, like yours, like my brother and my sister. My father didn't do time like your father did, unfortunately, but he wasn't really around much either. He was always out. He was always out being Fat Andy, you know, and he was out in the street, you know, and my brother and my sister got caught up in drugs too, and it winded up the 3 of us became addicts, you know. And I asked him once, I think I might have told you this. I asked him, you know, what part does he think he played in that? And he told me he stopped paying attention. And you know, and we got caught up in it. But you know, his lifestyles would have, even my mother, may she rest in peace, she had a prescription, you know, she was addicted to pain, you know, prescription medication because of her relationship with him. I don't know how your mother was affected by your father with that relationship.
Well, I got to tell you, my mother was a different addict. My mother was a money spending addict.
Yeah. I thought it was that kind of an addict too.
Oh my God, Anthony! I'll tell you, the fights in my house with my mother and father. My dad, God rest his soul, he was cheap. He didn't want to spend a penny. Right? Yeah. He would drive around in I'll never forget a 1964. What the hell do they call it? It was a little red car, a Valiant.
Valiant. I remember that. Yeah.
My mother wouldn't get in the car. She used to say, you know, how could you drive a car like that? He said, hey, I don't want anybody to know who I am or see anything like that. He wouldn't spend a dime.
Yeah.
My mother would spend money that she didn't make a year from now, you know, so she would spend it all here. So every day he'd come home, he'd find new furniture in the house. She was that kind of addict, you know. She wasn't all there, and she was a tough woman. I'll be honest with
you. Yeah, my mother really liked your mother. I know they used to talk a lot. My mother, I think my mother, you know how, and that's why I'm glad we're talking about this, because nobody could talk about stuff like this out there. You know what I mean? Besides you and I mean, my mother was always wrapped up in my father's womanizer, because he was a womanizer. I mean, I was, you know, that was the lifestyle. You know, I don't know how, you know, but you know, that was the lifestyle. Girlfriends on Fridays, wives on Saturday. I mean, it's just what wise guys did, just what mob guys did. And that's how I was raised. You know, it's comical, and she was always wrapped up in her relationship with him. And that was my mommy issues. Because when I was a kid, she would drag me all over Brooklyn. You know, she was 19 years old when she had me. She would drag me all over Brooklyn, looking in bar windows to see if he was in there with girls and fighting with girls in hallways. I mean, it was just a crazy upbringing. And then she got caught up with the prescription medication, you know, and that was my childhood. You know, my father went away in 79. We were both in prison at the same time, more than once, but this was the first time him and I were in prison at the same time in 79. And when the day he turned himself in, the next day, some woman called up my mother and said, come see the house your husband bought me.
Wow.
He bought the woman a house in Valley Stream, you know. And this is the other side of the mob. This is the side people don't know that. They don't see that in The Godfather, you know, all these movies that everybody raves about.
No, we had some incidents like that, but my mother used to get mad. She used to tell him, go with your girlfriend, get out of the house, go.
Yeah.
You know? He used to deny it, of course, you know.
Of course.
We were taught to deny everything.
Everything.
No matter what.
Yeah, my father told me, don't ever admit it, no matter if you get caught in the bed, it wasn't you.
Don't admit anything.
Don't admit it. It wasn't you. And that's, you know, and these are my father's son conversations. The day I got married in 1977, he came downstairs and he told me, listen, you don't have to do this. He had a big party in the Lamia on Ocean Parkway. I don't know if you remember the Lamia, Frankie. Benicio up there. He said, you know, you could stop now. We'll just go there. We'll have a party. Don't worry. No, I'm in love. She says, okay, listen, if you're going to do this, remember one thing. If you're going to mess around from day one. Don't sit on the couch for 6 months and then start messing around, because then you're going to spoil her. This was my wedding day lesson. But they think that's what they believed in, and that's what he instilled in me.
Exactly, a normal way of thinking. You know, my father would tell me the same thing. You know, never admit to anything. You know, don't shit where you eat. He used to tell me all the time. Be careful. You know, be discreet. You know, all of that kind of stuff. But
it's crazy. It's the same. You know, it's like a record. They must have all listened to the same record, because they all said the same things. Your father, my father, always said the same things. You know, your father, every time I ran into him in the prisons, he always used to ask me, how you doing? How's your love life? You know, teasing me. The last time I saw him was, unfortunately, in the supervised release office in Suffolk County. I saw him in there, and they yelled at us because I sat down. I walked in, and he was already sitting in there, and I sat down next to him, and he leaned over and he goes, "Oh, I had a good conversation about you the other night with Jojo Carrazza. He was the consigliere of the Gambino. I said, you had a good conversation about me?" He goes, "Yeah." And then the guy came running out, "Separate, separate." And your father goes, "Take it easy, separate. What do you think we're talking about?" He told him. And they made me go on the other side of the room. They wouldn't let us sit together.